Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. We've got a fair bit of stuff to discuss, don't we? Let's switch over to the face cam. There we go. How are we all doing? First of all, I hope we're very well. We've had a flashbang go off in my face, which is fun. I always wonder how the neighbours deal with that because like the curtain is slightly open there. Just like the equivalent of daylight shining into my face. But Leeds have a little bit of an update regarding the signing of Igor Paixao. We've got a little bit of news that's happened since I last streamed. Specifically, we did sign Lucas Perry. That one is now done completely. Little bit of a bag of Peri Peri showing up in Germany, which I thought was a quite nice little pun from the club. In addition to what I was kind of happy with, I was sitting on this for like 3 or 4 hours waiting for the announcement to happen because I knew it was being announced today. I had heard that, but I was just sat on this, waiting for a little bit of confirmation. Eventually, we got there, but it took a little bit of time. But that's not what we're here for right now, because what we're here for right now is the little bit of conversation that has sort of rolled on and emerged and continued, specifically surrounding Igor Paixao. Now, before I get into all that, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel, it'd be massively appreciated. Like the stream as well if you haven't yet, because I need to get these things done early on. I'm very close to 6,969 subscribers, which would be quite funny. 6969, you know, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but the story surrounding the Paixao stuff. Let's hop over to the live control room just so I can actually see the chat and keep an eye on everything. So, here we go. One of the major sources that is especially big in this little conversation, as is big in all conversations when it comes to football transfers nowadays, is Mr. Fabrizio Romano, who stated that he, well, I'll F11 it so it all makes sense, that he understands Leeds have improved their bid for Igor Paixao and are trying to get the deal sealed as soon as possible. Now, I don't know whether this is bid 2 or bid 3. We heard that the initial bid went in once Marseille were like, yeah, that's done, we can't go any further. There was word of a second bid that came through, which, who knows whether that one's real or whether that is this one, which is an improved version of the bid. And now, understand Leeds have improved the bid to try and get the deal sealed as soon as possible, pushing with the intention to close the story, reach full agreement with Feyenoord. Of course, we've got everyone that is Leeds related sort of having a bit of a conversation under that, which is quite interesting and fun and nice and stuff. But this is where I disagree with Pierre, right? Because, first of all, this is very, very strong wording. Leeds United and Feyenoord are closing in on a deal about Igor Paixao this Saturday afternoon/evening. To me, that says that it's a matter of technicality at this stage, because if we are closing in, we know what needs to be paid. We want to pay it, because otherwise we would have just said, nah, let's not bother with this. Not 100% done yet, but deal really, really close to happening between the clubs. Ooh. Thank you very much for the super chat, Paul Robbie. I appreciate that. I do also think, I don't know about the game next week. I think that one's a little bit of a stretch, but we can hope. But this was replied to by Romano, who pulled a little bit of a, ooh, very nice, very spicy, very nice, which is quite rare for him. If he looks like he's on the verge of confirming things, it tends to be on the verge of being generally confirmed, which is quite nice for Leeds United. But there is a further little twist in the tale. So, this one is more of a, you're going to have to trust me on this, because it's from primary sources rather than Twitter, which is typically, like, gets you shouted at on the internet, but you're going to have to just listen to me for like 30 seconds on this one. So, company I work for has a wide range of departments. For example, there is the France team, Spain team, Portugal team, etc, 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 etc. Hell of a lot of teams. One of which is in the Netherlands. And I got a DM earlier. It was like, what, 2-3 hours ago? From someone that I consider to be very, very, very reliable. Like, not even questionably reliable, to be completely honest with you. Asking, have I heard anything about Igor Paixao's bid from Leeds being accepted. He knows that I'm a Leeds fan. He himself is a Feyenoord fan. Very interesting sort of combination there. Which sort of made me think there's almost certainly something going on behind the scenes here, because he's worked with the club officials in the past. But this was before any of the Romano stuff, so I thought he was just completely out of nowhere, swinging for the fences. That would have been nice. It's starting to feel like it's a thing. And this is why in like the headline and all of that kind of stuff on the thumbnail, everything, I have gone, deal done, ? Because it isn't 100% confirmed. I will be 100% honest with you guys. It's not completely confirmed yet, because it's not confirmed until the biggest accounts go, yeah, this is happening now. Which will all happen all at once Graham or a Baron or someone along those lines, come on words, where have you gone? Or someone along those lines has had contact with someone from the club, and the club are in a position where they're comfortable enough to say, yeah, it's done. Which is going to be very, very, very late in the game. In terms of how confident you can be at this relatively early point, I think we're in a pretty damn good spot right now. We are firmly in a position of the club have clearly made an improved bid, which is good. We clearly knew what the other club wanted, which means that we're going to be very, very close to what they want, because if we were miles off, then I think we would have just said, no, we won't bother. Because, as we've proven repeatedly, we don't tend to stay in races if we're just going to lose them. For example, Siddiqui. For example, Diarra. If it looks like we're just going to be blown out of the water by someone's valuation, you don't bother. And the fact that we've gone in for Paixao again, in the same way that we went in for Longstaff again, tells me that there's a little bit of something there. Which is nice. I think we are, at the very least, close to an agreement. I'm very, very confident at this point. I think one will get done. I don't know whether or not one is done at this point, but from various different directions, I'm getting the feeling that it could be on the Kessie thing. Right, I've seen this one. And I'm just going to quickly give opinion on it. There we go. I'm going to use the Leeds Zones tweet on it, because that was the same source that I saw. A strange one from an unknown source, so take it with a big pinch of salt, but apparently Leeds have reportedly made an offer to sign Franck Kessie from Al Ahly. Very odd considering the amount of midfielders we have already. Now, this is one that I'm not willing to say is complete bollocks, because that would be madness, because if I'm proven wrong, I would look a twat. However, I've had a quick look at the wages that Franck Kessie is on, and at 14 million euros a year, I feel like that's not the kind of salary that we're going to go with. He is, I think, a better standard than Leeds at the minute, and I would be very, very surprised if he was looking at a newly promoted club in the Premier League rather than, at the very least, Europa League. Kessie will not be happening, in my opinion. It would be nice, I suppose. It means that we'd be like way overstaffed in midfield. I think we would be silly to spend even more money on midfielders when quite clearly we have enough. And I think I'm roughly aligned with David on this one. I think it's sort of rubbish. But there's a maybe there. I'm going to say probably not, though. Anyway, right. Back to it. Also, if anyone has any questions at any point, just chuck them in the chat. That'd be nice. It's always good to sort of bounce off the chat and see what direction we're heading in. And what the sort of vibe is. So I'm going to, in fact, do a poll. Because I like doing polls. Polls are fun. Will we sign Igor Paixao? Yes, no, and then, in fact, yes. This week. Yes, but later. Nope. Cool. Kind of want to see what you guys think. By this week, I mean in the next 7 days. I don't mean like between today and tomorrow. That one would be a hell of a turnaround. That would be impressive. If the club were able to do that, then fair enough to them. But it feels like things are firmly heating up in the conversation around Paixao, which is nice. But having Paixao sign on the dotted line in the middle of Elland Road on Saturday, that would be funny. I don't know if it would be valid, because, like, you're not meant to sign contracts under coercion, and I think 37,000 people saying he's going to do the thing probably counts as coercion. Not a legal expert, but that feels like a poor idea. Hold on. I've just been sent the exact set of tweets that we're talking about by my brother. To which I've just responded, someone's not watching the stream. And mine has a little bit of, it might be insider knowledge, it might just be he's taken a stab in the dark, but co-worker that is Feyenoord supporter basically saying, so I hear he's on his way over, whilst he knows insider people. Like an hour before Fabrizio Romano does his Leeds have increased their bid thing, is interesting, at the very least. Hello, Mark. How are you doing? It's a pretty damn good day. We got our delicious peri-peri chicken in earlier. That was good. 16% of people think we won't sign Paixao. 15. Never mind. I'm going to keep that poll up for a little bit because I want to see what the numbers end up at. That's a lot of people thinking that we won't sign Paixao, considering the direction the news seems to be going in. I do think we'll sign him, like you said, about going in for Longstaff a couple of times, which we have done with Paixao. However, if Marseille sell a player, they might be able to scrape enough money up. Maybe, but then again, it depends on who they look at selling. Is anyone potentially on the way out of Marseille? I searched Marseille sales and the only things that popped up were Marseille departures won't do it either. They've got a sell on for Greenwood, but I don't see anyone signing Mason Greenwood for obvious reasons. It's an interesting one. Some wonderful folks in the side chat once again. Yeah, it's great. I quite like the little community that we got growing over here. There's a reason that I push for positivity in there, and it's you guys. You're great. If I don't sign Paixao, what are the other targets? I genuinely don't know. I think thus far, and this is completely fair enough from the club, I'll zoom that in a touch. From what I've been able to tell, it has been a lot of, okay, so we'll put in a bid for Paixao, and then if that doesn't work out, then we'll go elsewhere. And then we put in a bid for Paixao, and it kind of half worked out because Paixao had an interest. Marseille weren't able to achieve the numbers, and Feyenoord were like, yeah, this is our price tag. And we were like, oh, we can afford that. Okay. Which meant that we were in a pretty damn strong position from the start. So I'm sure there is a list. It's just we've not had the list rumoured outside of, like, anyone, because we've not had to have it rumoured, because I don't think those conversations are really happening. I've heard a bit of stuff around a guy called Bakwa, but I don't know a single thing about him. I've got to be honest with you. There's a post from Graham Smith, who has done something on delicious peri-peri chicken, which is fun. But 18 minutes ago, he also tweeted, Farke's verdict on summer transfer business, so far so good, says that the recruitment/department are fulfilling what was planned step by step. So that would be filling from the back, working our way forward. Clever. I like it. Negotiations ongoing with Feyenoord, who wanted more than the first offer for Igor Paixao. Olympic Marseille struggling to match Leeds, which sort of fits with what is already known with the entire situation, which is quite good. Can't remember his name, but one of the Marseille players was linked with Girona. Not sure. I don't quite remember. But Joe, superb artwork on the Paixao in the Leeds shirt. Oh, really? Oh, hang on. I'll have a look over it. 10 points for anyone that can work out which Leeds United player is actually wearing the Leeds shirt in the thumbnail image. Is Isaac in the plans? I do not know. It's very, very hard to tell. Genuinely. No idea. He didn't play in the match against Paderborn, but he missed the match not this weekend, earlier in the week, because he wasn't fit for it. So, Rodon, no. Have you not noticed that that is not a white man? Why would I put a black dude's face on a white dude? That's a bad... Metcha, there we go, Paul. Smashed it. Been busy for like a straight month now, Joe. Have a sit down. No, I refuse. The transfer window is still going, so I will not be having a sit down for another month and a week, I suppose. Furpo, Furpo never wore that kit. So, not Junior Furpo. No, it's Metcha. Because Metcha, I looked through the squad, and in terms of players that had a close enough skin tone to Paixao for me to get away with it, there were like 2 or 3 players. And Metcha was the one that had the best sort of angled pose on him for that to still work. Is Gruev still going? Gruev played in the friendly earlier today. In Graham Smith's match report, he said that he looked like he got up to speed instantly. There was no like adaptation time. He was looking very, very good just from the off. Which, as much as a lot of people will continually say that they don't necessarily want Gruev going into next season, which is fine, I guess, if you don't want him. Isn't Smith injured? Yes. But as much as a lot of people are saying that they don't want Gruev and he's not this like shiny, sparkly player and all that kind of stuff, he does the job. And whilst he's not like the most glamorous footballer, doing the job is what matters 99% of the time. If you're a forward, put the ball in the back of the net. If you're a midfielder, hold on to the ball or win it back. Or if you're a defender, if you can get rid, that's all you need. And whether or not Gruev can do it in the Premier League isn't a known quantity quite yet, but I genuinely don't see why he would be an issue there. Schmidt is injured, yes, and on the Kessie rumour, I thank you, Carl, for subscribing. Much appreciated. But if the Kessie thing is true, I would be baffled. I would have no idea what's going on. If we are genuinely looking at signing Franck Kessie, who is currently on something like €250,000 a week, and here we are with our highest paid player being Jack Harrison on £90,000 a week, madness. That won't be happening, I don't think. Is he that ex-AC Milan guy? It is, yes. Harrison had 1 or 2 good moves, but the rest was dismal. I'll be honest, I've not watched the full match back. I've not had a chance. So the match came out, then Kayla got home from work, and we had something to eat, and hung out a bit, and then it was now. So there we go. Muniz in last year with Fulham, can we wait till January when we could get a bargain? You're less likely to get a bargain in that case, specifically because the 6-month to negotiate thing doesn't apply to domestic clubs. If we wait until there were 6 months left, that's less a case of making it a bargain for us and more opening the door to foreign clubs. So if you are a club in La Liga and you are seeing that Rodrigo Muniz is available to be negotiated with, and you're like, cool, would you like to come to play for, pick someone, Bilbao? It won't be Bilbao because he's not Basque, but you know what I mean. Would you like to come over here for a little bit and play for Atletico Madrid? And he says yes. At that point, we can't really go, we'll pay a fee for him because he's already agreed a contract with a different club. So whilst there is, in theory, a little bit more of a bargain to be had, it opens the door to a hell of a lot of risk. And I would much rather we don't take those risks, because those risks are silly. 40 million for Muniz in the last year of his contract is nuts. Yeah, and that's why I think we didn't just jump to that fee immediately. Where does Meslier end up? I think somewhere in France. I don't know where, but I think that division makes a bit of sense for him. I think he needs to be somewhere that he's not necessarily in a firing line, because we know that that can cause some significant problems for him. But, yeah. I think he gets minutes wherever he goes. I don't know if he's going to be as exposed to a mental fan base in the same way as he was at Leeds United. Can't we give Harrison to Rangers? Probably not. because that would be very, very difficult to explain to regulators. And if you are building a multi-club model, the last thing that you want to do is sort of, look, we've got a new multi-club. By the way, we've already done insider trading. That's not where you really want to end up in the first 5 minutes, so potential problems. Any movement on Joseph, I don't know yet. That's gone a bit quiet. The thing with weekends is that even in the world of football, a lot of people will have a day off, which is understandable. I get it. But in case they don't, that's why us YouTubers are here. But it could be a case of basically a lot of people are just having a day to themselves, which is fair enough. It's a very, very busy period. If he goes to anyone, it'll be Betis or Celta Vigo, I think. I'd much rather he not go anywhere and stay in the 21s and rot for a bit. But that's not the world that we live in right now. So it may come true when we get a Brazilian trio. Maybe, but as much as everyone's hyping it as a Brazilian trio, right? I don't know if it's fair to pitch it like that. Because I don't think Paixao has a senior cap yet. Lucas Perry's had a call-up, but I don't know if he's actually played. And Rodrigo Muniz, I don't think has either. I don't know. Who do you like for a loan? Oh, hell of a question. Might have to think on that one. Connor Bradley. Because we need a little bit of depth at fullback. Watford and Udinese all players to each other. They did, yes. And everyone looks at them like they're highly suspicious. Which is why I would suggest that if we don't want to look suspicious, we don't do that in the first 15 minutes of being in a multi-club model. Because that would just increase the suspicion and cause issues for ourselves. Which obviously we don't want to do. Leon Georgian forward. That would be Mikotadze. I have a sneaking suspicion, having seen what the fans reacted like to Lucas Perry leaving Lyon, that they wouldn't be too happy with losing Mikotadze to us as well. And from a pure, rationality and sanity perspective, I think if they were to sell another key player to us again in that quicker succession, they just wouldn't, because it would be madness. We'll start seeing more departures once the squad come back from Germany. Bamford, Joseph Miller. Yeah, I think so. I think that being when everyone is at Thorpe Arch makes it easier to sort those departures out. Because it just kind of does. Because you're in a position where you're actually having Adam Underwood chatting to Pat Bamford and going, look, here's where the interest is, do you want to make a move? Rather than we're actively trying to get Igor Paixao done and I'm in the wrong country. So it's a little bit of chaos. Interesting little note for you, by the way, right? And this is a little small one, but it's quite interesting. What do Bamford will end up playing for? I saw that there was QPR interest in him, but beyond that, I've not really seen much else. There was a teensy tiny little jet wash earlier, which was very interesting, which admittedly isn't going to be that useful going forwards, but it indicated that Lucas Perry was going to be announced today, because as was mentioned in the Square Balls podcast with Graham Smith, when they were announcing Anton Stack, they flew out the club secretary, who was there to sign all the contracts and do all the legal paperwork and all that kind of stuff, because that's their job, and then flew her back. This morning, there was a single very small jet that went out from Leeds over to Germany, which put the things together. That's going to be the club secretary doing the Lucas Perry deal. So I don't know how long we're in Germany for. I don't think it's very long, but in the event that that happens again, that might be worth taking a look at, which is quite fun. Birmingham like Bamford and are looking... Ooh, Bamford linked with Burnley. Is he only linked with B clubs? Have you seen linked to Franck Kessie? Yes, the Franck Kessie link I think is probably bollocks. It's one of those where if we were to sign him, cool, that'd be nice, that'd be interesting, lovely. But I'm not convinced. Very much unconvinced. It'd be very expensive if we were to go for him. I think that'd be a bad idea. But Everton are screwed with the homegrown rule this year unless they start signing homegrown players. Are they? Have a look. Everton are currently playing against Bournemouth in the US. It's 0-0. Everton FB ref. Let's see who is currently on the books. Right, Pickford. No, wait, hold on. That's last season. There we go. Never mind. They've not submitted a squad list. Bollocks. It's if they are trained by a club in England or Wales for 3 years between the ages of 15 and 21. So I think they'll probably have enough. But yeah, it's not squad homegrown that they need. It's just general UK homegrown, which isn't that much of an issue. Everton and Bournemouth both looking sharp in this match, look much fitter than Leeds. Do they? Because I get a feeling you probably didn't watch the entire Paderborn match. Because A, it's a lower standard that you're playing against, so you need to be less on it and tight and all that kind of nonsense. But B, it's a full 90 and it's technically competitive football. Obviously, you're going to play a little bit more umphy, you know? QPR have just sold a strike for 5 million, so they'll have the money for Bamford. That'd be quite nice. And hopefully Greenwood as well. Yeah, maybe. I don't know what happens with Greenwood. I've got to be honest. Greenwood could be absolutely anywhere. He could find a sale somewhere. He could end up having to go out on loan. I imagine and hope it's a case of sold, because that needs to happen at some point very, very soon. But yeah. How much will Bamford go for? I've got no idea, to be honest with you. Could be a couple of million, would be my guess. Leeds were very in control up to the 70th minute when changes were made. Yeah, at that point the structure breaks down a little bit, but that's fine. That's sort of to be expected. Like, that's a normal thing that happens in a game of football. No issue with that. And there was no Perry. That's a good point. Perry is, for me, no doubt going to be our starting goalkeeper next season. Which is good, because he's very clearly a high-quality goalkeeper. And some people seem to have an issue with that at times. But you know what? It's fine. There have been people saying, like, well, I don't know. It's not our first target. And it's like, cool, this is why we have lists. You have a list of targets so you can pick the person that you ideally want in a best-case scenario. And in this case, that's what we're doing. We're doing the smart things, which is rare, I know. But sometimes we will do those. Chilwell on loan would be good if... No, he wouldn't. No. So often people are like, you see, we need to get rid of the consistently injured players. Maybe, right, we don't replace those consistently injured players with another injured player. Just a thought. Just a thought. That would be a horrible move, and it's not a move that we need to make. But who knows? Anyway, I'm gonna have a quick look at YouTube Studio for a moment. Ooh, you guys, how much to terminate Pat's contract? I don't know. That'd be a thing that's negotiated quietly behind the scenes. I genuinely couldn't tell you, even if I wanted to. Yeah, this is a fun bit. If you haven't subscribed quite yet, I'd hugely appreciate you doing so, because I'm 4 away from 6,900, and that is the small version of the funny number, and we're very, very close to the funny number, which is 6969. So if 4 of you fancy subscribing, that'd be spectacular. It's the one button down here, not the merch button. Although if you want to get some Leeds merch, you can scan the merch QR code. That'd be lovely as well. But yeah, I'm gonna keep shilling because I have to. Because the issue with YouTube is, if you don't ask, you don't get. If the contract's terminated, doesn't that adversely affect PSR? Yes, it would effectively wipe his value from the books. Which, fair enough, he's not at the club anymore. But that would have a negative impact on PSR and would make it potentially harder to buy people. But I'm not a PSR expert. I am fully aware of this, and that's completely fine by me. Mitchell, who was at Palace, would be a good left back. Where is Tyrick Mitchell now? Is he a completely free agent? Because if he is, I'm very surprised. Out of contract at the end of the month when his current 4-year deal comes to an end after a long association with. Really, I need to see Palace's retained list. PSI value is 350k. Is it? Crystal Palace retained list. Okay, that's not for youth players though. So that's no use to me. There it is. No, he's on the retained list. Yeah, he's been retained, but he's not got a contract, which basically means that they've not released him, so he's on a week-to-week contract, I suppose. Thank you for the 6,900 subscribers, by the way, guys. That's massively appreciated. Bamper's PSR value is whatever his contract is worth. So that's 90k, not 90, 70, times about 50. That's about 3.5 million, which is not what we want to be losing right now. That could be a problem. What's going on with Jay? Why is there laughter surrounding Jay? What's going on? I don't see Jay anyway. It's turning into a Mike's Carpet style ad. What? I'm not advertising any carpets. 69, ha ha ha. Indeed, I'm currently 68 away from 69.69. So I've told myself I'll get a screenshot when it hits that. If I fail to, then I might just have to shut down the channel. Because at that point, what's the point anymore, you know? Could the 49ers use their influence to get a US team to buy Bamford? No, because they don't own any MLS sides, so there isn't really that influence there. Any idea when the third kit's out? Oh, don't know. Let's run through the season and have an idea of when we might need it. Leeds matches. The third kit is out. No, it's not. If it is, I'd be surprised, because I get notifications from Fanatics every time Leeds release new stuff. Right, so home against Everton would be in the white, away against Arsenal would be in the blue. Home against Newcastle would be in white, away against Fulham we'd be in the blue. Away against Wolves we would be blue. Bournemouth, Spurs, we'd be the home side, so we'd be in our white. The first time we'd actually need it is potentially Burnley. Unless we played in the home kit. Or Brighton, which is on the 1st of November. Maybe. I don't know. Watching darts Everton versus Bournemouth is boring. I'm not a fan of darts, to be honest. Stop jumping the gun. If you had been here at the start of the stream, you would recognise that it's not a gun jump. It's a theory. But if you want to complain about that, then complain about that. That's fine. According to this is new. I knew there was a bigger one. Hey, that's what she said. Leeds are ready to pay £28 million plus add-ons for Feyenoord winger Igor Paixao. It's understood the clubs were not able to come to an agreement on the opening bid of 26 plus add-ons. So there. Ha 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 ha. Let's see if there's anything else going on. Streaming games, not bothered. The cricket, that's going to get me copyright stricken. So let's get rid. Beto just missed a good chance. Ah, that's a shame. Hey Joe, do you know Wheaton Camp? I don't off the top of my head, unless I were to have a Google. No idea. Couldn't tell you. Seen anything on Franck Kessie? Yes, I've seen that there is a link from a Twitter account. However, having a look at his wages, it would be obscene, combined with the fact that we don't really need another midfielder. I don't think we're going to be in for Kessie. If we are, I would be baffled. Is that a new Paixao story? It's newish. We knew there was a bigger bid. We didn't know what the number was. But I suppose now we know what the number is, so that's quite good. Oh, that's interesting as well. At the same time as me hitting 6,900 on YouTube, if you've got Twitter, this would be a kind thing of you. If you fancy, I'm currently 3 followers away from 1,000, which would be absolutely lovely. So if you want to follow and get some absolute nonsense, such as Lucas Perry signs for Leeds, then go ahead and do that. You know, it's only 3 away. A recognisable starting 11 at this rate compared to last season's 11. Yeah, I think we're getting a better idea of what our first team looks like. We started with a backline of, admittedly, not the goalkeeper, but it's going to be Perry. In front of him is Bogle, who will start. Beale, Rodon, they will be the starting centre-backs, in my opinion. Gudmundsson in midfield, it was, I can't remember, Stack, Ampadu. I think Aronson started as well, which is quite interesting. Wide areas, I can't quite remember, because I'll be honest, I've not watched the match yet. And Piru started as well. But I don't know if he'll start. But that back line looks like that is solidly what is going to start the season for us now. Am I over 1k now? I don't know yet. I'll have a look. Let's refresh and find out. 1,003. Thank you, guys. Cheers. Looks like Nonza's finding more clinicality. I hope so. Might be good. Fuck, so 3 more in, got goalkeeper 2 more. Yeah, it'll be winger. I think it'll be striker as well. Do we think we get a breakthrough with Paixao come Monday? I think breakthrough is already on the horizon, to be honest with you. It's very, very close. Do we think we should get a 10 if we need a dead ball taker for a few years now? Paixao is quite good on dead balls. I have had this chat with Joe, and he seems to be the solution to the dead ball problem, which I'm not going to have a problem with, to be honest with you. But I'm going to bring the stream to a close in a moment, because I did Longstaff play today. I don't know. I'll have to have a look. Maybe he did, but I'll have a look and I'll let you know in the morning. But I hope you all enjoyed the stream. If you did, please pop a like on it. That's always massively appreciated. There's 330 of you in here, so as many likes as possible would be wonderful. Subscribe if you haven't yet as well. That's always really, really useful for the channel. You could even be a channel member if you like. It's $2.99 a month. You get a bunch of videos and stuff early. That's always wonderful. And yeah, hope you all enjoyed. I am going to kick back, relax, and buy a bunch of pies, because it's going to be time for the Paixao Pie Show soon enough. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later. Toodaloo.